So welcome everybody and good morning. This is Decorative Plumbing 101. My name is Dan Fingerhut and I'm going to go through how to confidently sell plumbing in the decorative world. This is a good base, a good starting point. I'm not getting brand specific in this. So basically what you'll have to do is take notes on everything to hit on as far as decorative plumbing goes, and then get with your manufacturers to go more in depth on the products they offer and the benefits and everything that they provide to your customers. So I'm going to go through basically a checklist. So if you're taking notes, we're going to get in depth into valves and the shower system. That's the most complicated part of plumbing, selling plumbing. And then just basically what things to ask your customers about and to bring up when you're selling decorative plumbing. Okay. So there's lots of options in that bathroom. Where do you start? You see, you got sinks, you got faucets, you got tubs, you got tub fillers and showers. Where do you start? It's a good question. Well, you're going to start by qualifying the customer before you even get into any products, any options. You're going to want to qualify that customer. And this is going back to basic sales. Ask questions, get to know your customer. This is where you're building a rapport with them and building that relationship that hopefully lasts a long time. So what does your customer do for a living? Where's the house being built or remodeled? Who's the builder? Take a look outside. What do they drive? What shoes are they wearing? I know this sounds silly, but just like in any sales, appliance sales, you don't want to sell them Kenmore when you could sell them Sub-Zero Wolf, right? And so how do you do that? A lot of people coming into your showroom, they don't know. I mean, it's getting more and more popular, obviously, with the internet and having done research and having their own ideas. That's something you're going to ask them about too. Have you done any research? Do you have any ideas? But for you to guide them to the right product, you're going to take a look at all these things and figure out what price point is best for them. And obviously this isn't foolproof. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that could afford more and they don't necessarily look like it, and then the other way around, but it's a good starting point. And also it's just building rapport, like I said. And when you're talking to your customers, you're talking to them about these products, try not to ask yes and no questions. And I know you're going to have to at some point, but in any point in time, if you're asking questions to your customer, try not to ask them as a yes and no. And a good example of this is quality important to you, rather than how important is quality to you? If you ask them, is quality important to you? They can say yes. And then it stops there. If you ask them, how important is quality to you? That gets them thinking, that gets them open up to you and to really give you an idea of what they're looking for. Or if you're showing them around and you're showing them some faucets, instead of asking, do you like this faucet? Ask them, what do you like or not like about this faucet? Get them to open up, get them to give you more information. You're just going to be able to use that in offering the right products to your customers. And then always start with quality. Always start at that high end, because you can always move to a lower price point. If you start high, a middle price point is going to seem a really good price. If you start low, that middle price point is going to look really expensive to them. One of the hardest things for plumbing showroom salespeople is to not sell out of your own pocketbook. You have to realize that some of these people we're selling to, a majority of them, things you think are expensive and things I think are expensive are not expensive to them. So we're just getting them the right quality product for their needs and for their own personal home. They're building a dream home in usual cases with you guys. So you want to get them the right products to do so. So step one, after qualifying your customer and figuring out more information of them, the place you want to start in plumbing, if there's no starting point, they didn't bring you something to design a bathroom around, pick a faucet. The faucet is going to set the style and the design and the finish of that whole bathroom. Once you pick that faucet, a lot of these things are going to fall into place. So step one, pick a faucet. Now I got a question for you. What faucet did you have in your own house when you were growing up? What faucet did you have in your house as a little kid? Most of you are going to think back and you're going to have no idea. Actually, if I ask my parents what faucet they have in their house, they're probably not going to know either. And that's what we have to realize is the majority of people do not pay attention to these things. You are there to make them pay attention to the things that they don't pay attention to. You need them to know what faucet they're getting and why they're getting it and what makes it a better quality than the rest. This brings us to explaining the differences in quality from brand to brand. So why are they paying more? Why is this faucet this price and this faucet this price? Well, majority of the time it comes down to quality. And then what makes quality in a faucet and in a shower fixture? It's materials. So the quality material used in high-end plumbing is brass. Brass is the marker for quality in faucetry. It's a denser material. The handles are going to stay tighter and not loosen up over time. The finishes are going to last longer. It's not going to break down over time like cheaper materials are going to break down. Now, other materials that some manufacturers will use are zinc, die cast, and plastic. These are lightweight materials. They feel cheaper in your hands. They hold finishes differently. This is when you see multiple shades of finish on the same faucet. I'm sure if you look around your showroom, you're going to find some of those. That's because they use different materials and they hold those finishes differently. Look at the handles and the back plates. Those are the first things to get cheapened out when you're talking about a decorative manufacturer. Back plates, if you go around tapping on back plates, you'll feel the difference. You'll hear the difference. And a good example of this too is a lot of these brands that were known as quote unquote quality, they may have started out using all brass and that's how they got their name. And a lot of these products and these manufacturers are going to cheaper materials like zinc and die cast and plastic. A lot of these manufacturers that you think are using brass, a lot of times they're cheapening out to die cast. So pay attention to that and know what you're offering to your customer. The finishes on those higher end brands, there's going to be more options and those finishes are going to last longer than your cheaper brands. And then details, and I'll show you a little picture here in the next slide, but quality is in the details. Again, you're pointing out things that your customer is not going to pay attention to. Look at this knurling on this beautiful faucet here. Look at the coining. Look at the hard edges, and I'll show you what I mean by that on the next slide. And then the different styles that they offer too. Obviously, if they're being made more cheaply, they're in a mass production line, they're making thousands at a time, you're not going to have as many styles to choose from. It's just a fact that a cheaper faucet is made out of cheaper materials. You can't do it. You can't make a brass faucet, all brass faucet, and make it inexpensive. The cheaper faucets equal cheaper materials, less details, shorter finish life, and you replace parts more often. If you have a company that's talking about how easy it is to get their replacement parts, you got to worry about that company. I promise you. I have worked in this industry for a long time, and I've never known a manufacturer that it's very difficult to get their parts. If it is talked about, if it's pushed that their replacement parts are very easy to get, why are you talking about that? Is this something I'm going to need to replace all the time? The answer is going to be yes. So that's why they talk about how easy it is to get their parts. And then also on these less expensive faucets, there's no wow factor, and that's what these people are really going for. These customers that you have, they're wanting to put things in their house that their friends are going to come over and they're going to look at it and they're going to go, wow, that's amazing. That's what you need to give to them. And then remember, they want to buy something that's nicer from you. That's why they came to you and they didn't go to Home Depot. They're there for something nicer that Home Depot can't offer. A few examples here of some different faucets from different manufacturers. This one right here, you can see this is a high quality brand. It's got a lot of details. This handle right here is carved out with a CNC machine, literally done by hand. So you can see the details. It's a lot harder edges here as opposed to this cross handle down here. This is a relatively popular, less expensive faucet. but you can tell this was stamped out, made out of zinc or a die cast, making hundreds at a time. The detailing and the precision was not put into it. So this faucet's going to last longer than this one. This one's going to be less expensive, but this one's going to have that wow factor and last a lot longer. Same thing over here. This is a very popular faucet design. Look at the detailing in the knurling that you have right here. Obviously, this is just your basic faucet. You can see these smooth lines right here. That's going to tell you less expensive. This is for everybody. This is for that high-end customer that you have. So these are the details you need to make sure that you're pointing out. And then styles, you got to figure out what their vision is. Obviously, you've got a lot of faucets to choose from in that space. So just start walking them around and showing them and lead them to those more decorative brands, those higher quality brands. Again, this is not brand specific, so you're going to want to get with those manufacturers and what makes your product more quality than the rest. Ask them. There's contemporary styles, transitional styles, traditional styles. In Texas, we're a little bit more traditional in some markets, sort of leading towards that contemporary style. So we are kind of getting there. Transitional seems to be the most popular as of now, but those are the 3 different styles that you're going to have your customer choose from. And then there's different configuration options as well. So widespread is going to be your most popular. It's a good starting point when you're talking to your customers about faucets and having them pick. Those are going to be 8-inch spreads on the handles. So basically that one handle to the next is 8 inches apart. On average, on standard, obviously those can be moved a little bit. Then you have single hole faucets. You've got wall mount faucets. There's even 2-hole faucets, which is this one right here, which has the spout and then a single handle on the side instead of having 2 handles. A floor mount faucet, that's what this is right here. This is a floor mount vessel filler for a sink, something different. And then center set faucets down here. So that brings us to the next question. What about the vanity? What are they doing with the vanity? This is something that you need to make sure that you ask about that gets left off and not even mentioned by a lot of showroom salespeople. Let me give you a real life example. So I'm going through a remodel on my house right now. The contractor asked me, well, what do we want to do about the vanity? And I said, you know what, just build one. Just build one that looks like the vanity in the bathroom downstairs. It doesn't really matter. Just build it to be pretty much the same. So when I go into a showroom and I'm picking out my plumbing and I'm picking out my tub and I'm picking out my toilet, I'm not going to bring up vanity. So I'm not going to ask you to show me vanities because I've already said that I'm just going to have them build it. But if you were to ask me about what I was doing with my vanity, I would say, you know what, I'm just going to have my contractor build one that looks like the one downstairs. But if you told me, hey, can I show you a few different options? I may be able to show you something that probably about the same price point as having one built, but it's going to be a nicer quality and then we can find one that really goes along with this style. I would say, sure, show me what you got. So that's a no sale that's turning into a potential sale just by bringing it up. Real life example. So you need to ask them, just bring up the vanity, and you can do it in an easy way. So just ask them, what are you doing with your vanity? Is one being built for you, or do you need to purchase one? Is the vanity going to be exposed underneath the sink? Good example right here on this one right here. You're going to need to know this for later. So you're going to need to know this information anyways. You need to know, is it exposed? So this is a good reason to bring up the vanity because you're just asking to get the right plumbing products for underneath the sink. We'll come back to that later. And then you want to find is the styles and the color scheme, is it going to match the finish of the faucet they're picking out? So this is something that if they already have a vanity or if they're getting one built, we need to take a look at it, make sure the finish, and then maybe you can even recommend a finish or a style based on the vanity that they've chosen. And then what is the theme of the rest of the house? Is that bathroom going to be different from the rest of the house, or are they wanting to stick with the same? And this goes back to figuring out what their vision is for this space that you're remodeling. So bring up the vanity. And then sinks, a lot of different sinks manufacturers out there. A lot of just standard sinks are going to be porcelain under counter sinks. But there's a lot of different options. Does the sink come with the vanity, or are they buying one? Are the countertops pre-cut to a certain sink style and size? Are they pre-cut for an undermount sink? Are they pre-cut for a vessel sink? Is it a top mount sink? Is it molded into the vanity? These are all different options. You'll check with your sink manufacturers to find out the different options that they offer and the different materials. There's porcelain, there's stone, there's glass, there's composite, there's steel, there's concrete. The sky's the limit. So we need to figure out, for one, what are they doing on the vanity? Does the sinks come with the vanity? Are the countertops pre-cut to a certain style and sink, or do we have the sky's the limit as far as what we can choose? And then you're going to let that faucet selection and the vanity kind of guide you on that. By faucet selection, I mean what style are they going with it? Do they like the vessel mounts, single hole faucet? Well, then we can talk about a vessel sink. And vice versa. Do they like the vessel sinks? So now we do a vessel faucet. So all these kind of work hand in hand. So you got to bring up the sinks. And then we get to one of the hardest parts in selling plumbing, and that is the shower. So first we need to figure out, are we doing a shower only, or are we doing a tub shower? Usually we're talking about a master bath versus a kids or a secondary bath. Master bath typically is going to be a shower only, and then a separate tub in some occasions, or just a shower with no tub. And then in the kids and the secondary baths, we're doing a lot of tub showers where the tub and the shower are all in one. So we need to figure out what they're doing there, what their vision is there. And then what's their current bathroom layout? And is this going to change? Are they taking it down to the studs and the sky's the limit on what you can do? Or do they have a layout that you need to stick to, a certain size shower, our current bathtub that's there? You know, we just need to figure out what the current layout is going on. And then we want to ask, before we get to valves, before we talk about anything, we ask, what functions do you want? And I'm going to explain why we do that. So shower heads, obviously they're going to want a shower head, but how many do you want? Do you want one on each side? Do you want a his and her shower head? Do you want a rain head? Do you want a his and her shower head, one on each side, and then a rain head in the middle? Do you want hand showers? Maybe we do a shower head and a hand shower on both sides, or maybe just a shower head on one side and a hand shower on the other side. Do we want body sprays? Do we need a tub spout? Is it a tub shower? So figure out all the functions that they want first. Ask them, what is your vision? What would you like in your shower? This is going to lead you to what valves you need to put into that shower. So another rule of thumb down there, if they want to do over 2 functions in that shower, they will need more than one pressure balance valve, either a thermostatic valve or multiple pressure balance valves. That's why we need to figure out how many functions they want. If they're doing a shower head and a tub spout, pressure balance valve will be fine. If they're doing a shower head and a hand shower, pressure balance will be fine. If they're doing 2 shower heads and 2 hand showers and a rain head, we're not going to be able to get away with just one pressure balance valve. Now we get into why that is after I show you some functions here. So here's a few functions just to give you an example. We got some shower heads. You can see there's different ways to bend the arms. Get a 90-degree coming down more as a rain head, off the wall with a 45 or a 60-degree bend on the shower arm, tub spout, body sprays, hand showers. Here's a big rain head for the middle of the shower. And then there's different exposed options as well. So these are just different outside the box kind of things that you can mention to your customer. So then we get into the valves. So with valves, you have to control temperature and volume for each function. So if you're taking notes, say pressure balance valve equals TV, the letter T, the letter V. Thermostatic valve equals T, temperature. Volume control equals V, volume control. So just take those down in a note. I'll get into why you need that later. And then you need to size that shower and how much gallon per minute do you need. So a good rule of thumb here is 2.5 gallons per minute per function. So if you have 2 shower heads, that's 5 gallons per minute that they need to come out of that valve. If you have 2 shower heads and a hand shower, that's 7.5 gallons per minute that they're going to need out of that valve. Got to know this for the future here. I'm about to explain. So size the valves as if each function is on at once. So even though they may never use their shower head and their hand shower at the same time, we are still sizing that valve as the shower head and the hand shower on at the same time, okay? And then also pay attention to the functions that require more than 2.5 gallons a minute. There are some rain heads out there that do require more than 2.5 gallons a minute. Some of them are even less now, like 1.8 and 2.0, but 2.5 is a good kind of rule of thumb for sizing these valves. So first off, we'll get into the pressure balance valve. So how does a pressure balance valve work? Just to break it down to the base valve, how does this thing work? So I don't know if you've ever been in a house. This is kind of going away now, but there are still a few out there that if somebody flushes a toilet in that house, you're getting scalding hot water coming out of the shower for a few minutes. Well, why does that happen? Well, in your house, you have a hot line going to your shower and you have a cold line in the walls going to your shower. So those are the lines going to that valve. And in each of those lines, you have pressure that your pressure is set at, is already set for your house. You can sometimes control it with a pressure regulating valve. I've got mine set at 72 PSI. Most people are going to be around that 60 PSI. You don't want to go much more than that 72 that I had. At 100, you're going to start blowing out things in your house. So you have the pressure built up in the lines. Well, when somebody flushes the toilet, basically you're decreasing the pressure in that cold line because cold water is going somewhere else. So that pressure is not all pressurized going against that valve. So in those old cases where you flush a toilet, then you get scalding hot water, that's because you drop the pressure in the cold line. So the hot pressure takes over and then gives you scalding hot water. So a pressure balance valve works by balancing the pressure of the line. So if you drop pressure in the cold side, it's not going to allow the pressure in the hot side to overtake that. So that's what's called a pressure balance. That's how it regulates temperature, by reading the pressure on each line coming in. So the benefit of a pressure balance valve is that it controls both temperature and volume. This is why on P pressure balance, it equals T and V. Again, I'll get to why that's important. So this means it turns on the water and it controls temperature with one handle. Now, the downside to a pressure balance valve is that it typically is not going to put out as high of gallons per minute. So you're looking at about 5 to 6 gallons per minute in a pressure balance valve. So again, this goes back to, why do you need more than one pressure balance valve for over 2 functions? Well, that's because each function is 2.5 gallons a minute. So once you get to those 2 functions, that's 5 gallons a minute. That's basically the max as far as your pressure balance valve is going to put out. So once you get to that 3rd function, you're at 7.5 gallons a minute, which is too much water for one pressure balance valve to put out. So that's why you would need over one pressure balance valve for more than 2 functions. So it is more of an inexpensive valve, but if you are looking at a lot of functions, then you're going to have to add more than one pressure balance valve anyway. So this is when you want to start looking at maybe going to a thermostatic valve. That the money is going to start to even out once you look at more than one pressure balance valve. So pressure balance valves are usually going to be for kids' baths and secondary baths, not so much for the master bath. That's where we get into the car wash type showers. You're going to need more than a pressure balance valve. Here's an example of how a pressure balance valve is set up. So this is the valve in your wall. This is the trim that you see. This one right here, so this is turning on temperature and volume. Going to the shower head, only one shower head. That's all you need. So if I was drawing this out, I like to draw out the showers when I'm working with a customer. I did this when I was in the showroom. I would literally, for every function they want, I would do a drawing of a shower head, a hand shower, a rain head. Then I would do the valve. What valve did I pick? Then I would literally make lines going to each one of these functions, right? So if it's a pressure balance valve, you have a T and a V going to each one of those functions, temperature and volume. You know you're covered. I'll get to that, the rest of that in the thermostatic section. So this one right here is a way to do a pressure balance valve with either going to a tub spout or a hand shower using a pull-out diverter right here. So you can do that as well with a pressure balance valve. But this gets us to those 2 functions. So after that, you want to add more than one of these. Here's some examples of some trims with the pressure balance. So you can see this one set up with that pull-out diverter there. So that's going to come on to the shower head. You pull that out, it goes down to the tub spout. These are using more decorative tub spouts. That's why you put that diverter on the trim plate instead of on the tub spout like this one here. Cheaper way to do it, but it doesn't look as good. It's not as decorative. So here's some different options here. This is going from shower head to hand shower using a pull-out diverter as well. These two are just going direct shower heads, and then this one's a little bit different. This one's got a shower head and a rain head using an inline diverter right here, which you're going to turn this handle and go and divert from shower head to hand shower. I'll get into diverters here in a minute. So that brings us to thermostatic valves. So how does a thermostatic valve work over a pressure balance valve? So instead of reading the pressure in the line, the thermostatic valve actually reads the temperature of the water as it mixes it. So thermostatic valves have a paraffin wax that's inside the valve that expands and contracts to the temperature of the water. So this is what regulates the water coming in and the mixing of the water. So it's going to be a little bit more exact as far as the temperature goes. You're looking about a 0.5 to 1 degree of temperature variance, as opposed to a thermostatic valve can be off by 1 to 2 degrees. It's not a huge difference. They'll probably never notice it, but it is a little bit more exact on the temperature control. Now, thermostatic valves only control temperature. They don't control volume in most cases. So this is why thermostatic valves you want to list as T, okay? Not V, T. The benefit of them is that they do put out a lot more gallons per minute, typically 10 to 15 gallons a minute, if not more. And then also you're going to save time and save water by using a thermostatic valve too. So thermostatic valves work by you set the temperature on the valve. So let's say it's 100 degrees that you like your shower at. That thermostatic valve set at 100 degrees. Unless you want to change the temperature, you never have to change that. You can always keep it there. So when you turn that water on, it's going to have a little bit of time to get the cold water out and to mix, but it's going to go exactly to that 100 degrees. Instead of you toggling between cold and warm and sticking your hand in and, oh, that's too hot, or, oh, that's too cold, and turning it up or turning it down, you know that temperature is going to go right to 100 degrees. So that's one of the benefits of a thermostatic valve. Also, there's a little extra safety on a thermostatic valve. I think most of them will only go up to 100 degrees. Then if you want to go hotter than that, there's a little thing called a limit stop on there that you would literally have to press down to go hotter than 100 degrees. Why is that a benefit? Because if, let's say, a kid gets into even a pressure balance valve and turns it all the way hot, they think they're turning it all the way on, but they're actually turning it all the way hot, they can get burned. I mean, that can get really hot. It can get as hot as the temperature in your water heater. So that can get pretty hot and burn them. So a thermostatic valve has a little bit more of a safety feature to it too. So just remember that you need temperature and volume for each function. So when you're doing a thermostatic valve, that's your T. So if you're drawing it out and you've got a shower head, a rain head, and a hand shower, if you have a thermostatic valve, all you're going to do is put a T there and then draw a line to each one of your functions. So that means you have temperature to each one of your functions, but you still need volume. So how do you get that volume to that? You still need it on and off. So how do you get that volume to each function? Well, this is where you're going to add a volume control. Volume controls are going to turn on and off the water. That's all they do. So thermostatic valve controls the temperature. With a thermostatic valve, you use a volume control to turn the water on and off. So once you have a T and a V go into each one of those functions, you know that you're covered, okay? And I wish I was in person because I would draw this out for you and make you aware, but just make sure a T and a V is going to each one of those functions, and you're set as far as setting up your valves inside the wall, because that's scary, I know. You all, especially if you're getting into plumbing sales and you're not familiar, the most scary thing is to put in the wrong valve in the wall. So drawing it out allows you to kind of check yourself. I did this all throughout my showroom sales career, so it's not out of the ordinary. So here's a good setup here. So here's your thermostatic valve at the bottom. This is going to control temperature only. And then let's just say 3 functions, because this is actually using a diverter at the top. But let's say these are 3 volume controls. This volume control can turn on the body sprays. This volume control can turn on the hand shower. This volume control can turn on the shower head. One benefit of the thermostatic valve is that I can have the body sprays and the rain head on. I can have hand shower and shower head on, I can have all three on. I can have one on. A lot of control over what you can have on. With the pressure balance valve, the most you're going to be able to have on at one time is 2 functions on at one time, and that's sharing functions. And when you share a function, it literally splits that water pressure in half. So you are going to notice a decrease in water pressure, whereas on a thermostatic valve that's putting out that much water, you can have all 3 of these on at one time, and you're really not going to see a decrease in the volume. So here's some good examples of thermostatics and volume controls. There's your temperature control. Volume control going to body sprays, volume control going to hand shower, volume control going to shower head. Same thing, temperature control here, volume control going to hand shower, volume control going to shower head. Obviously, if you just had this valve, that would be your T. So you would draw a T going here and a T going there, but there's no V. So that's where you go T, V, V going to shower head, V going to hand shower. Now you know you're covered. So you have a T and a V going to each line, okay? I can explain more in person if you don't quite understand that, but that's basically what you want to do. Then that leads us to diverters. So what is a diverter? A diverter is just going to divert water from one function to the other. So it's going to take water from the shower head, then you turn the handle, it's going to divert that water over to your hand shower. Most of the diverters are not going to have a volume control, which is your on and off. Some do, so pay attention to that, but most of them are just going to divert water from one to the other. And then how many functions can a diverter control? 2 functions at once is the most. And are these shared functions? Again, you can usually set up a diverter using 3 functions, only 2 at one time. But if you share it, again, you are going to split that water pressure in half. Why would they use diverters then? Well, it does save on handles on the wall. It's a cleaner look. It saves a little money on the trims and the valves, and it's less trims on the wall again. And the cost of labor is a little bit less too. You're not saving a ton of money, but it does save a little bit of money. So one thing you're going to run into, what I always suggest to people is start out, especially in a master bath, with a thermostatic valve and a volume control for each function. That's a good starting point for a master bath. If they don't want all those handles on the wall, that's a big one. Or if they want to save a little bit of money, then we can start talking about diverters, okay? And then I told you about the pressure balance diverters that can be located on the actual trim itself. So that's another way to do a diverter. Anything that takes water from one function and moves it to another function is called a diverter. Here's an example here. Here's a thermostatic valve in this case. This is a 3-way diverter, tub spout, hand shower, shower head. In this case, you can only have one on at a time. This one is not a shared diverter because it is your on-off and your diverter. So typically, if your diverter can turn the water on and off, that is not a shared diverter. So you can only have one function on at a time, okay? This one over here is using 2 different diverters. Here's your thermostatic valve, your temperature control. This diverter is controlling your tub spout and your hand shower, 2-way diverter. This diverter here is a 3-way diverter controlling body sprays, shower head, and rain head. Now, by using 2 different diverters, you can have 2 functions on at the same time and control 5 different functions using 2 diverters in this case. Okay, so why can you have 2 on at one time? Because you can have this one set to the hand shower and this one set to the shower head and have those both on since they're different diverters, okay? And then something that's becoming a go-to for a lot of manufacturers, it's a cleaner look, it's an easier install, is what's called stacked valves. You can even get manufacturers that offer stacked valves. This one is 1 stack. This is 4 different handles, so a temperature control and 3 different volume controls, 1 for hand shower, 1 for body sprays, 1 for shower head, in all one nice and neat plate, so you don't have separate handles all over the wall. And then here's another stacked valve. This one's a thermostatic temperature control with a 3-way diverter right here. So hand shower, shower head, tub spout. And then this one right here is a thermostatic with a 2-way diverter. So a hand shower or a shower head. So those are stacked valves. So what's the benefit of a stacked valve? So as you can see here, this system, these are just valves that you literally stack on top of each other. Now, why would this be beneficial? Well, for one, the plumber is going to love you because, listen, he wants to install pressure balance valves all day long. It's very easy. He doesn't have to read instructions. Once you start getting into thermostatic valves and volume controls, listen, the customer gets what they want. Okay, they buy the product they want. The plumber can complain about installing it all they want, but it's up to the customer to pick out the products they want and to find a plumber that's going to install it. Now, a plumber is going to love you more if you're doing a decorative shower by using a stacked valve, because typically if they do a thermostatic and 3 volume controls, they're going to have to install and level and secure the thermostatic valve. Then they're going to space it out evenly by measuring, and then space it out by how far it's coming out of the wall, and they level it. A volume control, then they have to do it again with another volume control, then they have to do it again with another volume control. These stacked valves are the same thing, thermostatic and 3 volume controls, only literally this is one valve. So they're leveling and they're securing one valve, and then they get all of these functions right here. So it's a lot easier for the plumber to install, and it's all perfectly spaced. It's all perfectly lined up. It's nice and neat. This is why customers are going to those stacked valves. And then just to bring it up, so you're aware, digital controls are coming. There's some that are out there already. So you will start seeing this be more and more popular. It's just another way to control your shower. So just know digital controls are coming. And then the shower trims, after you've picked out your valves, basically the trim is pretty easy. You already know what functions they want, so you just look for shower heads and hand showers are going to match up to that style. And then you pick your trims that match the valves that you selected. So in each one of the price books, it should show you this valve goes with these trims. You match up the shower trim to the style of the faucet in most occasions, unless their shower is completely separate and their faucets are completely separate. And they want to do transitional over here and then contemporary over there. But typically, you're all matching the same style. And that's why your faucet is going to lead you throughout the rest of the process. It's going to give you the style and the finish that you're going to use for your faucets, for your tank lever, for your toilet, for your shower trims. Okay, so you just match up the trim to the valve in the wall. And then when you're talking about showers, you don't want to forget about the add-ons. This is good notes to take down. Make sure you're bringing up steam showers. Make sure you're bringing up fog-free mirrors. Does your customer shave in the shower? Look for clean-shaven guys. Look for bald-headed guys that actually shave bald. A lot of those guys, even if they don't shave in the shower, if they had a fog-free mirror in the shower, they would love it, and they would actually shave in the shower. That's why they don't now, because they don't have anything to look into that won't fog up. So fog-free mirrors, shower seats, grab bars, towel warmers. Grab bars typically have been looked at as something customers add whenever they need it, but now people are thinking ahead of the game and putting in decorative grab bars. So you can put in a grab bar that looks like it matches with all the trim, and it's really nice looking, and people don't think of it as a grab bar. It's just a part of the shower, but when you need it, it's there. And then tubs. So tubs is obviously something you're going to need to bring up too. There's different types of tubs. Are we doing a freestanding tub? Are we doing an alcove tub, which basically has 2 sidewalls and a back wall? Is it a drop-in tub? Is it an undermount tub? Again, get with your manufacturers to dive deep into the different options that they offer and what you can talk to your customer about. Also offer those systems. So are we doing a jetted or an air system in that tub, or is it just a soaking tub? Different materials that are used: cast acrylic, cast iron, stone, composite, fiberglass. Again, you're going to match up that style to that faucet and figure out the price point they want in this, or what you're going to guide them to, because that is going to play a part in the materials that they choose. And then what you need to know too is, in that freestanding tub, if that's what you select, is this drain exposed or not? You are going to need to know that for later. So is the drain and overflow exposed, or is it not exposed? Is it concealed in the tub? You are going to need to know that for the add-ons. Then obviously we're going to need to fill up that tub. So we're going to need a tub filler. Tub showers, it's going to be in the shower itself. But for a freestanding tub or a drop-in tub or an undermount tub, you're going to need to have a separate tub filler. There's freestanding, which are pretty popular for freestanding tubs coming out of the floor. Then you also have deck mount now. So a lot of freestanding tubs are going to offer you a deck mount option for this faucet here. Saves them money. These can be kind of pricey. Obviously, these are the customers we're selling to, so make sure you're offering this. But if we do need to save some money somewhere, picking out a tub that you can mount the faucet to the deck of the tub is not a bad option. And then also wall-mounted tub fillers are getting to be more and more popular, even with freestanding tubs as well. So you're gonna need a tub filler to go along with that tub. And then of course, we're gonna need to bring up toilets. Toilets, what style are they going for? Again, look at that faucet. What style is it? Kind of stay in that zone there. Is it transitional? Is it contemporary? Stay in that zone. Skirted and non-skirted. This one right here is actually a skirted toilet, meaning you don't see this P-trap and everything underneath the toilet right here, as opposed to one that you see that P-trap that's actually made into the toilet. That's called skirted or non-skirted. There's different wall mount toilets. This is a floor mount. There's smart toilets out there that have bidet seats. That's what this is right here. Again, stick with that design that you're picking for the faucet. You're going to want to get with your toilet manufacturers to see the different options that they have. But just so you know, there is something called map testing out there. Map testing is a third-party program. You can look every toilet up on their website. Anything that performs over 800 grams or more is considered a great functioning toilet. If you have a toilet and they tell you it flushes 800 grams to 1,000 grams, that's a great flushing toilet. So you're going to have no worries as far as backing up or your customers coming back to you saying this toilet just won't work right. 800 grams or more, that's the key. And then in Texas, we are restricted to 1.28 gallons of flush. Now, things to look for inside the toilet are going to be what's called the water spot. The water spot are actually that spot that the water sits in inside the toilet. Some water spots are bigger than others, so that's something to pay attention to. And then also, are they glazed for easy cleaning? Some toilets are going to be glazed on the inside of the bowl only. Most are. Some manufacturers are going to glaze the entire toilet for easy cleaning. Okay, that's something to pay attention to. And then also the seat. Most companies out there are going to offer soft close seats now, but just that's something to pay attention to. And then add-ons to a toilet. People love these, even if they kick back to you and say, nah, we really don't need that. I urge you to push them in the direction of getting a bidet seat or at least a heated seat. This is something that if people don't have it, they don't know. So they're going to say they don't need it. But once they have it or once they use it, they will never go back, and they're going to call you and say, thank you so much for getting me to pull the trigger on that bidet seat or the heated seat. I love it. I can't be without it now. So that's just an add-on to talk to your customers about. You're doing them justice. Even though you're adding more money to that ticket, you are doing them justice by mentioning this and selling this option to them. So now we get to decorative specialties, which I call the money makers. So all the other products we've talked about, the faucets, the valves, the toilets, the tubs, these are all products, unfortunately, that you're going to have customers that come to you. You're going to select all this stuff. They're going to take that quote and they're going to go down the street and they're going to say, hey, what can you do? This is the price this showroom's giving me. Can you do better? And then they knock it down by 5%, and then that just goes round and round. I wish no showrooms did that. I wish they would stay away from taking other customers' bids, but it is what it is. But decorative specialties, the tank levers, the P-traps, the stops for your toilets and your lavatories, these are things that aren't going to be shopped around. Customers aren't looking on the internet for their toilet supply kit. They're not going to the rest of the showrooms on most occasions and shopping your toilet supplies. All those other things are what is being shopped. So it is a fact that if you offer a toilet stop and a tank lever for each toilet you sell, you will make more money selling these secondary products, the tank lever and the stops, than you will selling those toilets. So these are why these are the money makers. They get left off a lot and not brought up by showroom salespeople, but you're leaving so much money and profit margin on the table by not offering these things. I'll show you a picture here of some different options, but tank levers for each toilet. So a toilet's gonna probably come with a chrome or a white trip lever. If they're doing a satin brass faucet, they are gonna want a satin brass tank lever. Now, they're probably not gonna tell you they want that because they don't even know they want that. It's like a crack on the wall in your house. I'm sure you've seen a crack in your house that you've been wondering, you walk by that spot 1,000 times, you never see a crack, then you walk by it one time and you notice it. Now, every single time you walk by, you're gonna notice it. How long was that there? Why didn't you notice that before? Well, you just weren't paying attention to it. And now that you did, you're gonna notice it every time. That's what these decorative specialties are. They can see a satin brass faucet and a satin brass shower and satin brass accessories and then a chrome tank lever on their toilet and not even pay it any attention. They don't even notice that that's different. For some reason, just like with you not remembering what faucet you had as a child growing up in your house, they don't even notice the tank lever. This is your job to point these things out to them, because even if you talk about it and they say, no, you know what, just take that off the quote, I'm not going to do that. That's fine, because what's going to happen is they're going to go home, they're going to get everything installed, and then they're going to notice that and they're going to say, you know what, that does look terrible. I want a tank lever that matches. So then you're going to get that sale anyways. So bring it up. Supply kits, so supply stops are on every single faucet and every single toilet. There are what's called stops. This goes back to the vanity and knowing, is the vanity exposed underneath? Because if it is, then you're going to see the faucet stops. This is something you're going to want to sell to your customer. And every single toilet out there, you can add a toilet supply stop to. If you do not, the plumber is going to put in a cheap chrome or some sort of different supply that's really inexpensive. The plumber buys, 100 at a time for $3 a piece. So he's going to throw that on there with a stainless steel braided toilet supply line. Again, the homeowner may never notice that unless you point it out, but if you do, it's going to drive them nuts and you're going to get that sale. The P-trap and the bottle trap, this is also what's going to be exposed underneath the sink, underneath the vanity. This is why you need to know, is it exposed? And then grab bars, mention it. You got to bring it up. Drains, you're going to need the drain in your shower, the drain for your tubs. You're going to want to finish match to that faucet or to your different trims in the shower. So make sure there's linear drains now. That's something customers may not know about. This is something to bring up, changes the look of the shower. Again, tub drains and overflows. And then, like I said, these are the finishing touches that complete a decorative bathroom. I know myself, if I walk into a bathroom and they've got satin brass all over the place and they're showing me and they're super excited, look at how beautiful my bathroom is. And then I see underneath the sink or I see beside the toilet, they've got a chrome stop, or they've got a PVC P-trap that the plumber put in, automatically I go, this is not impressive to me, because I know what decorative is and I know what's impressive. So these are the things that put the finishing touches on the decorative bathroom. If you put them on the quote from the beginning, they are less likely to be taken off than you not putting them on a quote. Customer comes back to you and says, oh, what about this? I think I need this. Well, maybe you can get them on there. Then they're going to look at the price and they're going to say, oh, never mind, that's too expensive. So put it on the quote from the beginning. It can always be taken off. It's hard to put on. So here's some good examples of toilet. This is a toilet stop. This is a little unusual because they're coming out of the floor. Typically, they're going to come out of the wall. But this is a satin brass stop and a satin brass tank lever. All matches, just completes that look. Just think about this vanity right here. If you had a PVC white P-trap underneath here and chrome stops, how much different this look would be. This is a complete look. And then there's also options. I mean, just because it's a different setup, in this case, the faucet and the sink are over here offset from the inlet into the wall. So typically it's going to be all centered. You're going to have the drain right here, but sometimes you don't have that and you have to get creative. So there are creative options for supplies. See these lines running over to the side and a P-trap that comes over here. So there are different options to make any configuration work that's going on under that sink to make it decorative. And these are called the ABCs of supply valves. I can send this to you all. Jack Lowe is actually coming out with this. This is Jack Lowe's In Dallas, which I think most of you are located, or North Texas, anywhere outside of Houston in Texas, to be honest, you're going mostly is coming out of the wall with copper, or in some cases PEX. Now, hopefully not PEX. PEX looks terrible, but copper in a lot of cases, especially on the houses you all are working on, with a copper line coming out of the wall, you're going to use what's called compression valves. Are going to be your most popular. Quarter turn is most popular too. That means you just do a little quarter turn for on and off, as opposed to a multi-turn, which multi-turn is you're turning over and over and over again to get it to shut off, and then turning it over and over and over again to get it to turn on. So quarter turn compression valves are what you all look for in Dallas. And we can help you out there by marking price books, showing you exactly which ones to use. And if you ever have any questions on what products to use underneath the sink or what supplies to use, please get with us. We are happy to help you with that. And we can mark your books and just use this kit every single time. And then these are different P-traps. So P-traps and bottle traps, these are the same thing basically. These are just more decorative than these, but they're the same thing. They do the same thing. These are called problem solvers. Again, when we get into this situation, we've got a lot of slip fittings here that you can do in different finishes to solve those problems. Again, get with us if you have any questions. And then accessories, obviously this is one of the last things, but we do need to mention accessories. Again, going back to that faucet selection, match up your accessories to that faucet. Finish, style, typical accessories needed for each bath are towel bars, towel rings, rope hooks, toilet paper holders. There's also freestanding toilet paper holders and towel holders. For a freestanding tub, freestanding towel holder, just makes sense, bring it up. Makeup mirrors. This is an add-on sale that people may not come to you and think that they need, but if it's sitting on your desk or if you show them in the showroom, you may get that on the sale. And then one thing that usually gets left off by showroom salespeople, they're losing a lot of money there, is shower door pulls. So shower door pulls, a lot of times showroom people get scared off by ordering these. They think it's complicated. I have a brand, and there's several other brands out there that makes it very easy to add on shower door pulls. So get with those brands that make it easy for you to add on shower door pulls, so that's just an extra sale. And then last but not least, we want to talk about the lighting in the bathroom. Not all of you are going to sell full packages of lighting, but most of you are going to sell like sconces and chandeliers, and then even lighted mirrors. That's something to bring up to your customers that they may not even have thought about. So the lighting in the bathroom, you can get more in depth based on what products you have to offer, or less in depth. Maybe you're just offering a lighted mirror, or just the sconces, or just the chandelier. But this is something to finish off in designing that bathroom. So that concludes the Decorative Plumbing 101. I am going to unmute. If you can unmute yourself, if you have a question, I'm happy to answer questions at this time. Okay, seems like we're all good. So I will let you all get to your day, and I appreciate it for jumping on. If you ever have any questions, just let me know. We are glad to help.
I think Bo asked a question in the chat. She said, are we able to get a copy of this slide?
Absolutely. I can send it over to you. If you want to send me an email and just say, hey, can you send me the presentation, I'd be happy to send it over to you. No problem.
What's your email address?
Mine is Dan at adream, ADREAM -decor, DECOR.com.